Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. Uh, Not even gonna bother dealing with the start off here. You guys know the drill. This is the biggest week of earnings this quarter. It's gonna be absolutely slammed. Big name after big name after big name. Um, the good news is, well, that in of itself is good news. But the better news is that a lot of big expanded trading ranges on earnings the last few days. So that could really open things up option wise. So worth kind of monitoring now, right? Before the open on Monday, things get started a little bit slower. Checkpoint, it's really the only scheduled name. It's about 725 is what they're pricing in. Those are monthly options though. Um, it's not my favorite stock to trade, and it's going to be a busy week, so I'm probably just going to leave it alone, focus on better setups. But it is one of a couple of cyber names next week, so maybe it gets a little action going in that group. So there's a lot of names that don't report next week in Cyberland, and maybe they start to move around off of Checkpoint and then FTNT later in the week. After the close on Monday, some company you probably never heard of before, Tesla, pricing in 48 points. And this is a little bit tougher of a setup than the other big cap names because last quarter or last two quarters hasn't really responded great to earnings, and it's been a choppy mess for a few months now. Um, I personally was thinking it could wake up and maybe go on a little bit of a run ahead of its report because tech has been so strong, but it hasn't done that and it's still kind of stuck down here. So I feel like it needs to get through 700 to really trigger a bigger move, and that's obviously a long ways away from like the 640s where it's at right now. Um, this might be something where I look to play momentum like right after the print because there's been plenty of cases where Tesla's had like one really good day and then strung together a few days after it. So I might just kind of wait it out and see, like, if it can close up one day 40 and then trigger a breakout through 700, maybe you get another couple days out of it. So instead of like laying out the money and picking direction, that might be more so how I approach it because I just don't really have a great feel for it right now. Now that it hasn't really ramped to the head of earnings. Okay, before the open on Tuesday, excuse me, it's kind of like an industrial morning. 3M pricing in about 7 points. Can occasionally move. Last quarter was hit pretty hard, and it's come back up. So, the way I look at it is 200 is a big level, and it could be due for another move. Either direction does this historically move a lot, and it's not always in the same direction as the quarter before that. At 7 points, maybe it leaves a little bit of room, so might be something to look at for a volatility strategy. GE, so about 75 cents is what's priced in. Um, it's more of a swing trade idea to me because I mean I think more potential comes over like a longer term versus like a short term like week long stretch around earnings because if it can get through 14 to me it seems like there could be a lot of upside. Um, Plus it hasn't been as consistent of a move around earnings, so I think any trade on this is going to be longer term in nature. And then UPS, so about 11 and a half points. It seems like a stock that could still wake up. They do report Tuesday before the open, so I mean the day for it to work now would be Monday. But it does seem like it could because it had a really fantastic quarter in April, and it has a pretty nice looking bull flag right now. So we'll have to see where it is come Monday afternoon to see if there's still an earnings trade on it. But I mean, it is coming off a great quarter, and then stock overall is acting pretty nice, so I'm more bullish biased on it. After the close on Tuesday, huge tech day. So AMD, about 625 is what's priced in. This has been a focus swing of ours for a while, and I'm still interested in it, even into earnings. They crushed it the past two quarters. Stock is acting better. It didn't respond great after its April report here. So that kind of factors into my thinking, but um, I still think there's potential. I mean, it could still be like a longer term idea for me because if it can get through 95, get through 100, I mean, it could really start to get some momentum going, especially considering how much Nvidia has ran over the last couple months. So I mean, I do realize earnings lately have been kind of choppy, but I mean, this is one where I've been involved for a while, and I think that there's still potential if it can get up into the high 90s and really make a run at this 52-week high. Apple. All right, so now we get to some tech titans. So about six and a quarter actually too on this one. Um, I'd say this and Microsoft are probably my least favorite setups right now in the big tech names. Just because Apple's had a huge run over the past month, the bar seems higher. Plus, it sold off on a beat and raise last quarter, and it sold off on a solid report in January too. So, if it dips post earnings, I might look at it, but this is going to likely be an avoid for me. And then Microsoft is another one, priced in about 9 points. It's just been nonstop higher for about a month and a half now. Um, and the funny thing is, we actually had a bearish trade on Microsoft that actually worked well, even though the stock has basically gone up for like 3 weeks straight. So go figure it. The pattern seems very extended, and it's had a couple solid quarters in a row and sold off after. So it just does not seem like a good setup. I'm either avoiding this or I might even look at something speculative on the downside. Google, so about 120, 122. It's just been ultra steady for months. I mean, it just has not been a pullback at any point. Earnings last quarter excellent. Stock has had no dips. This appears to fall more into the trending trade category, so that means more muted volatility. That's usually my expectations on a pattern like that. Unless it's like a huge negative surprise, but I mean after snap, seems like that might be a little bit less likely. So maybe like calendar spreads or longer dated spreads. But I mean, this too is starting to extend higher into earnings, so have to be a little bit more careful. Starbucks, another one that's extended, right? So pricing in about 5 points. Um, I really read restaurant stocks wrong this week. I mean, Chipotle and Domino's were massive gainers, and the whole group rallied along with them. This does still really seem extended though, and the bar is a lot higher now. If I can get risk down, I might actually look at like a volatility strategy, and maybe more so skewed to the downside, just based off of the latest run it's had. Visa, another big name, about 8 points is what's priced in. It's the first of the big credit card companies next week, although Capital One and American Express both reported this past week. It hasn't really been an earnings story lately. It has given some nice trade opportunities. It's just not really like earnings wise. So I think it's gonna be more of like a swing focus for me after the print. Before they open on Wednesday, Boeing about 9 points is what's priced in, and I mean you just never know what you're gonna get with Boeing. I wrote it off on Monday after the huge breakdown, and it's come all the way back. Um, Earnings have been what's the word horrible for the past few quarters. But the stock doesn't always get hit. It's really a toss up to me, and at like 9 points, I don't know if I have enough conviction with it to do anything. Mickey D's. All right, so about 7 points is what's priced in here. Another big restaurant name. It does seem slightly less extended than Starbucks, but it also is starting to take off, right? So this one does have a history of moving around earnings, and the option pricing doesn't seem too bad. So maybe there's still some room for volatility strategy, but I mean, if it keeps running ahead of Wednesday, then I'm thinking probably less so. Pfizer, so about $1.50 is what's priced in on this. This one interests me because it's the only vaccine name not to really be ripping, and they're making a ton of money. Technically, it's the top of a multi-year resistance range too. Um, Option pricing's modest. I mean, if they crush it, maybe there's that long-awaited big breakout. So I'm interested in this one. Shopify, about 100, 110, 112 points is what's priced in, somewhere around there. It's a big software report. Stock acts fantastic. Recent quarters have been very strong. I mean, I was thinking this could ramp into the report, and it's ramping. So we're gonna have to see where it is on the day that it's due to release earnings, because it's going to determine whether it's still a trade. Because the farther things rally into earnings, the less likely it is that you're going to get a lot of continuation after, or maybe more likely that you're going to sell the news. So, but it's definitely like a day trading candidate. I mean, it gives out a lot of like nice day trade opportunities. So something I'll watch regardless. Spotify, about 18 points is what's priced in here. Historically, it's been very weak on earnings. It's gotten hit consistently the last few quarters in a row. So I guess if that's the pattern, focus on the bear side because that's what's worked lately. Um, but if I do something with it, it'll probably be like puts or put spreads. But I'm not sure I'm gonna play it. Tilray, about $1.65 or so is what's priced in here. It's first of the cannabis players report. The stock and the group, they all act awful, and the numbers for them lately have not been good. The pricing in straddle is not too bad, so maybe it's something to consider if this is like a group that you like to trade, but I'm not sure it's necessarily going to be a focus for me. All right, after the close on Wednesday, another big tech night. Facebook priced in about 22 points. It's up huge after the Snap report, so I mean the setup has totally changed. I mean, we caught this pop, and now I'm really undecided whether to play it or not because, I mean, it's had such a massive, massive move off a Snap that I feel like the expectations are through the roof. Um, I mean, they did crush it last quarter, and then Snap indicates or seems to indicate that it's probably going to be good again. So, on one hand, I expect it to be good. On the other hand, it's hard to bet against. So, I'm just kind of torn. It's kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place with it right now. But it was an excellent trade over the last week. Excellent trade. Ford, so about 75 cents, what's priced in. It's been a leader for long stretches. It's off its high. I think like this and GM have longer term potential, so I'm a little bit less interested in the short term around earnings. If it can get back above 15, I feel like that might be a nice level for me to focus on, so that'll be what I'm watching. Lamb, LRCX. So top chip name, priced in about 37 points. Monday's shake and bake on this and AMAT. I mean, really threw curveball because AMAT was like a sympathy play. And, I mean, they both got hit hard and came all the way back. But I guess that could still be a way to approach Lamb is with AMAT because you also have Clack reporting that week too, and they're very closely correlated. PayPal, pricing in about 16 points. Pricing seems pretty elevated on this, especially versus previous quarters, and it's had a huge run. Um, so it's had a huge run, and it had a muted reaction last quarter, and it's pricing in a lot. So it seems like a tough setup to me. And I do think Square maybe could be a sympathy play, but they don't always move exactly in line with one another. Qualcomm, about 775 or so is what they're pricing in here. I think it's a better semi setup than others because it's been a pretty big move over the last few quarters, and it's way off its high. It's been pretty tight. It's got room above, room below. Um, the option price is not cheap, but if I can get risk down, it might be something to look at for a volatility strategy. And then lastly on Wednesday night is NOW. 35 points is what's priced in. Unfortunately, it was just lining up a ramp into the report on this, and then it popped, so I had to hold off the initiation, which is annoying because it just played out perfectly. I do think it can move this coming week, but it's hard to chase it up now, so I feel like I'm going to have to let this one go, and I might just be a spectator at this point. Before the open on Thursday, MasterCard, about 17 points is what's priced in. So after Visa's report, I'm not sure there's going to be much surprise left for MasterCard, so probably won't be a focus. Also, Thursday morning, Overstock. So about 10 points is what they're looking for. It's been a pretty consistent mover, and those moves have pretty consistently been pretty sizable. Option pricing's high, but at the same time, it's moved more than that over the past several quarters. It's not an easy stock to trade, but earnings-wise, this could be a decent volatility strategy candidate. All right, after the close on Thursday, another big tech night. Amazon, about 165 points is what's priced in. Everyone keeps talking about the split, right? Split, split, split. But at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like this pattern could work on its own. I mean, it's just breaking through 3,500 resistance after a 12-month base there. And I mean, it seems like there's still potential on the upside. Plus, it has had a history of like really sharp rallies into earnings the past 2 quarters. So I guess it wouldn't surprise me if it kept running higher into earnings. I'm more bullish biased on it, and I don't necessarily think it needs to split to work its way up if the numbers are good. Team, about 20 points. What's priced in? Pretty big week for software stocks, and Team. This is kind of a bigger name. It's acted well recently, and
Test radio.
I feel like it looks pretty good right now. Um, it's not always the most consistent mover though, so maybe more of like a post earnings swing trade idea for me. For solar, about 6 points is what's expected. First of the solar's report, earnings typically all over the place on this. That can really create a ton of volatility. I don't really favor one direction, so I might look at something a little bit more speculative, further out of the money, like Strangle-wise, just to see if it can repeat the 10 plus points that it moved last quarter, because it's only priced in 6 this time and moved 10 plus last time. FTNT, I'm not going to be in this, but look at this chart. I mean, this is incredible. Just unbelievable run with literally like no pullback for months. 24 points is what's priced in. Those are monthly options. And I mean, this is what I was mentioning with Checkpoint on Monday, is that you have a couple cyber names, and they could move other cyber stocks, but I mean, I can't do anything with this stock after the run it's had. Pinterest, so about 9.5 points is what's priced in. Snap, Twitter, Facebook, Google. I mean, they're all traded up on Friday. So did Pins. So I don't know where this is going to be come Thursday next week. And I mean, the expectations. I mean, they could be anywhere, because it's still off its high. But I mean, it's also expectations are getting walked up after the Snap report. It does tend to move quite a bit though, so there still could be some potential movement here, but. I mean, I'd have to get pricing down because it seems pretty high at 9.5. Twilio, so about 36 points is what's priced in. Top software name, hanging right above big resistance at 400. It hasn't been rewarded for earnings in a while, but the chart does look explosive. So maybe it's one where if they can deliver, it could have some upside. It might be a more speculative idea. And I might go a little bit further out of the money, but there's been some quarters occasionally where it's really had some like gigantic moves. So I have that in the back of my mind for Twilio this coming week. X, about $1.80 is what's priced in. Most of the big steel names reported this past week. X didn't. These value plays, to me, they're more swing trade ideas. I mean, earnings can move around a little bit, but I still think most of the potential is over a longer time period. And then lastly on Thursday, Upwork. So about 9.5 points is what's priced in, but those are monthly contracts. This can really have some swings around earnings, but it's a really odd setup right now because it had this huge reversal from like a breakout to like a breakdown failure. The pattern only interests me above 60. If it can get through 60, so I might wait to see if it gets there after earnings and then maybe hop in for like a quick swing trade. All right, Friday before the open, two big E&P names, Chevron, which is priced in about 3 points, and then Exxon, which is priced in about $1.85. I guess I'm more wait and see mode on these two. Energy in general, because it's been kind of a tough spot to consistently time. I mean, there's been some good moves and there's been some opportunities to make money, but I feel like timing it has been tough. Plus, these two haven't really been big movers on earnings in a while. So, I mean, if I did anything, it's going to be after the report. I doubt I'm going to have any options on either of them into the actual earnings release. And then CAT. So 8.5 points is what's priced in here. It's a big industrial report. And it actually seems like a solid setup to me because it's well off its high. Pricing's not too bad. Kind of in a make or break spot technically because it's hovering near like a pretty big support range, and it has a history of moving on earnings too. So, and the thing too is that because it's Friday, the option pricing might come down during the week. So, this is one I kind of am eyeing as maybe like a volatility strategy candidate, and we'll see how the week goes because, I mean, there's a lot of other names I didn't even talk about. So, I mean, we just went over, like 40 different stocks, and there's like another There's another 150 that I didn't even talk about. So it's just going to be a crazy week, guys. Crazy, crazy week. So buckle up. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information about trading earnings with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options at play. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you all on Monday.